and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. All right, so we do have a quorum. Rebecca is currently out on vacation and she did let us know that was gonna happen. Can I get an excusal for her?
I would like to excuse Rebecca from being.
All right.
Yourself out anyway. Rebecca from being out.
I'll second that. Do we need to?
Been moved by Jamie and seconded by Eric to excuse Rebecca. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect. All right, so I'll go ahead and call for other business.
We need to add these employee cash outs. I don't know how you guys did the vacation cash outs in the past, if it was just done in the budget amendment or if they had to be actually approved through council first.
They'd have to be approved through council
I think
because
it was
they're.
for council.
Yeah, so we've got to cash out my comp time, switching the exempt stuff, and then we've got to cash out 160 hours for John for
just added.
vacation. What's that?
Oh, we just added to the other.
I am, I just added it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and add the employee cash outs onto the other business tonight. Is there anything else that we needed to add to other business?
Actually, it's just a to tonight's business. What is your legal name?
It's now Rachel Campbell.
So all the documents that we're addressing should have your legal name on them.
Yeah, my name was just changed. I was married a year ago, but I just finally changed it. So everything moving forward should have my last name on it. Some things have been hyphenated because.
Well, tonight's documents don't all have Rachel Campbell.
Okay, we'll change them.
And whenever there's there's a reference to a former employee on things that we're dealing with in our packet. When does that get removed?
Exactly.
What do you mean?
Well, Jill's name is still showing up as part of an address to things that you're,
Oh, I'm slowly updating them.
oh, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I send them an email every time they come through.
Excellent. Thank you.
Repetition, we'll eventually get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So I will entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I motion we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Right, been moved by Jamie and seconded by Kathy. Any discussion?
No stipulations tonight.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Grace. All right, so we will go ahead and move on to department reports. Let's start with city license. We don't repeat mid-month.
I didn't put together a formal report, but working on budget. It's pretty much finished. It's posted on the website for public review. iWorks is completely up and running now, so we're doing all of our permits through there, which has been really nice. Care Homes final plans were approved, so he's gonna be working on that small subdivision over by the park. And Jay and I have started tackling inventory for City Hall and Public Works. And I still don't have a date for our exit interview, but they're completely done with us for now. So I'm just waiting for them to give us our final fix these things or our final exit interview.
All right.
Do you have a leaning on the software for the inventory?
I think Jay's gonna report on that. He's
Okay.
found something that,
Great.
yeah.
All right, any questions for City Hall? All right, we're going to move on to Public Works.
Good evening, everyone. Jay Crow, Public Works Assistant. Past couple weeks, all of our normal operations were performed without any major issues. We've received some increase in flows at the wastewater treatment plant just due to typical influent infiltration from the rain. Normal thing we see, but something that we will be working on moving forward. Other stuff, we've been dewatering digester one through the screw press, just normal biosolids procedures. We have been having some issues that we've been troubleshooting with the screw press though. Working on finalizing the budget. Seems like we're in the final stretch of that. We submitted one of our 2 monthly total coliform samples to the Department of Health. We've been running around cleaning the storm catch basins and monitoring the storm system since we've just started getting all that rain. We weeded behind City Hall for the Lions Club to place a container box back there. We've been kind of cleaning and organizing the office at the treatment plant, just getting in preparation of getting all our stuff together, ready for inventory, starting to work on that asset inventory side of things. We're preparing for an asset inventory, and yes, I have been inquiring about an app. Just kind of in the beginning phases right now, just reaching out to them, seeing what they have to offer and all of that thing. We removed some stuff out of the Steamboat Alley so that the new building owner can install gutters and seal the building. Other than that, just the regular stuff. Any questions?
Isn't one of the volunteer organizations responsible for the Steamboat Alley?
They did remove most of the stuff out of there. We just took out like the broken crates and stuff, like the plant, that was like the flower planters, but yeah, they removed like the library kiosk things and all the other stuff out of there that was Vision Toledo.
So is that something that's gonna get put back together once
Yep.
the? that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So is there any way that your inventory system can work on the iWorks thing at all, while expanding it,
Mhm.
adding to it? or-
2 different,
Okay.
yeah, one's for permits and the other's inventory cost allocation.
Let's maybe not operate our lives in software. Maybe, if you don't mind, we'll take a look and see if we can throw some ideas at you as well.
All right,
I did that a year and a half ago. I can pull that up.
all right.
Any more questions for Public Works? All right, thank you, Jace.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to the council reports. I do not have anything really to report today. Nor do I. Here.
Let's see, I worked on a couple spreadsheets that needed some attention for 2025. I think that went well.
Mhm.
That's about it.
I got nothing. I have a sister going into surgery tomorrow, so. Next meeting, I may not be available. We'll see how things go.
Okay. Kathy?
I attended the Veterans
Oh.
Service. You did too. In the park on Veterans Day. There was a nice group of people there.
Again, I was
Pardon?
I was chopping up stuff and I was like, I'll head down there and then I cut the lovely saw.
Oh,
Oops, that was fun.
not really.
Yeah. That's just me. That's how I operate. All right, perfect. So we will go ahead and then move into committee reports. Do we have anything from planning commission?
Planning Commission has a meeting in 2 days.
Yep.
And we'll be discussing, short of an architectural review board, additional measures to be put forth to builders so that we don't get the, boxes in a roof type of architecture in a new building construction.
Perfect. All right. And then I know Park Board could not make it tonight, but I did have Mary send us an update. So there's lots of work being done to the buildings on either side of Steamboat Alley, which has necessitated the removal of old crates, et cetera, from the alley. When repairs are complete, we will replace planters, et cetera, and Steamboat Alley will be good as new. They are hoping to get the 10 sites at Kemp Olson graded by the end of the year. And we do still have a vacancy on the park board that we do need to fill. So I'm gonna be diving into that with both feet this week, trying to find somebody to fill that slot. Last but definitely not least, she said there is a comment to the budget letter on the website. On behalf of the park board, they would also like to add their sincere appreciation and gratitude to both Cindy Samco and Joe Jones for all of their help and their support. So that is our update from the park board. Do we have any questions for the park board that I can relay? All right,
What is the eligibility for the park board?
we need an in
Vacancy.
city resident. And over the age of 18. So. You were on the council, so you were not eligible.
And that should be.
Yeah. I know that the reason we had the vacancy is because we had one of the park board members move over to planning commission. So. All right, so we will go ahead and move forward. So we do have a public hearing tonight on the 2025 ad valorem levy tax. So we will go ahead and enter the public hearing at 6:10.
Does everybody know what the ad valorem is? That's the property tax.
I saw a lot of zeros. Is it an increase or is it not an increase or is it formality that it can?
We're attempting to not increase.
Yes.
We didn't last year as well, just because of the way times are for the residents, time to not add more to them, and it's not a significant amount of
So this
money.
is just a requirement up to the county that we have to let them know that we're not increasing the tax.
Yeah, and we can bank it by not taking it, whatever that means. I don't know if that means sometime in the future we could take more or.
Yeah, we can take more in the future. And right now too, the annexed properties, we won't see property taxes on those until 2026. So it's like we can bank the 1%. It's not a full percent that you get later and you have to, there's a couple hoops to jump through, but it's not, I think it's not that much money, like Eric said. So it's
I think we're second only to Centralia with the size we have banked.
right. And Winlock has a lot too.
Do they?
Mhm.
Okay. Maybe I misread all of that.
Yeah.
So another question that comes to mind is how does that affect new construction?
There's a sheet in there and it shows new construction. It shows the values that they're predicting. So it's all calculated in there and I can send you the Excel sheet if you want to look at it. I think the difference is like $825 to do a 1% increase. So we're gonna increase, we should increase once people have built, those properties are annexed in. Cause then it's just the residents here, theirs are still gonna go up and up and up, rather than just do them up one time when things are being built.
Do we have any further questions? All right, so we will go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:13. We have no special presentations this evening, so we've got, anybody have comment on the agenda items? All right, we will jump right into the new business. So starting out, we've got the first reading of the ad valorem levy tax. This one, there is a change that does need to be made on this form. So ordinance number 811, whereas the city of Toledo, Lewis County has met and considered its budget for the calendar year 2025. And whereas the district's actual levy amount from the previous year was $78,096.11. And whereas the population of this district is less than 10,000, and now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the taxing district that an increase in the regular property tax levy is hereby authorized for the levy to be collected in the 2025 tax year. The dollar amount of the increase over the actual levy amount from the previous year shall be $0.00, which is a percentage increase of 0% from the previous year.
And I think that is clear. I'm not gonna grab my stuff from last year. And we can do both readings on this tonight unless there's a reason to do another one, but to knock it out would be nice.
Okay.
I make a motion that we accept resolution 811 with no change to the ad valorem. With the modification of it being adopted this day in November. 2024.
If the ordinance is adopted, it won't take
Oh,
effect until
gotcha. Okay,
25.
Check that.
Oh, yeah, November, because we're gonna do both readings tonight if possible. So yeah, that'll be changed too.
Can I get a second on that?
I'll second it.
So it's been moved by Eric and seconded by me, and we'll be doing both readings this evening.
James.
Is there any discussion? All right, and call for a vote. All those-
How is it,
It's
we can do 2 readings in one night?
It's written in our ordinance like that.
Okay,
We should probably change that where we're not doing 2 readings.
Yeah,
yeah,
That's,
sounds kind of hinky to me.
yeah, 2025 will be first on my list.
yes. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. So we will move into ordinance 812. The ordinance of the city of Toledo authorizing the city to collect impact fees for fire protection services on behalf of Toledo Fire District 2 pursuant to RCW 82020050 110 and chapter 39.34 of the RCW.
I make a motion, we accept ordinance number 812.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved by Jamie and seconded by Kathy. Any discussion on this ordinance?
Yes, actually, Rachel Beaver needs to
saw it.
change her name.
Yeah.
I don't see any numbers on here.
So this isn't the ILA, this is just gonna allow us to actually be able to collect those impact fees. We are meeting on Wednesday because it's a much bigger process in order to put that ILA together. I think before we can actually collect the fees, our comp plan has to be done. So right now it's being written in a little bit different. We're gonna have a discussion Wednesday to kind of figure that out, but this just allows us to actually collect those fees. So there'll be talks of
Okay,
the ILA later.
since we have the fire department here. So. Are you gonna be able to collect from the larger area or just city limits?
Currently today, so the Lewis County does not impose impact fees. That is our next stop. We're the first fire district in Lewis County to have the assessments completed and to get this in place. So with the cooperation of the city of Toledo, we're gonna start there. And with that in place and having the ILAs drafted and everything, we're going to actually bring that to Lewis County so that it will then cover our entire fire protection district.
That would be nice. I know they don't like to collect impact fees.
They do not, but I have been in conversations with the county's city planning and commission. They are open to conversations. It's more at the ground level. They're trying to understand what the mechanics are of it, how it's done. So with the work we're doing, it helps kind of establish that foundation. But I am in communication with them so we can at least get that all started.
Okay, hopefully, maybe you can help the school district out as well. They were kind of intending to throw all of the impact on the city, downtown city, and since they can't get anything from around.
Yeah,
So it would be, maybe you, the two of you can,
we know. Yeah.
that'd be great. Thank you very much.
Well, so as far as the accounting, you're collecting it. Are you keeping track of all of it?
We don't know yet. We've kind of talked, we've had a couple meetings. We're trying to take as much admin work off of the city as possible. I'm not sure if that's possible. That's kind of what we're gonna meet on Wednesday. The goal is for us to collect those fees and either turn around and deposit it into their account or just cut them a check and then we're done with it. I feel like there's again, the impact fees are huge and the all the requirements are pretty big. So after speaking to Todd, it seems like we might be the ones doing the accounting, but again, we don't know. We started to put together an ILA and then it just opened up a can of like, there's so much to do. So I went ahead and left this on here just because it was already done and it's just one thing to check off. And I think you guys need it for tomorrow, right?
It does say that you'll have a special fund, so it's segregated if we do end up holding the money.
Yeah, that's our requirement, right?
Right.
There's a separate fund. It's our existing with the county assessor's office. So we have to create a separate fund. So it's basically what we would either have to deposit the check into ourselves, or if it was transferred, that type of thing. But it is a separate fund specifically for growth and impact.
Great.
A lot of regulations, which is our responsibility on how it's distributed and used. But yeah, from the collection point, it's fairly straightforward, but yeah, we have to work through drafting an ILA so we understand who's responsible for the accounting piece, such as tracking, right, our success and failure. If there's any, extensions or delay requests, how we're gonna handle those things, right? And all that administration is gonna come up with things what we're gonna do for compensating for fees and making sure that,
Just to give you a hint of what kind of dollars we're talking about. The 350 homes at $15,000 a home is $5,250,000. So there's a lot of money at stake for future facilities.
And being held accountable for it is, who's gonna track that?
yeah,
That's
that's
my
ultimately
question.
our responsibility. Once they've been assessed and collected, the accounting of those funds is our responsibility.
Right, and that's all, we started an ILA and, we remove all risk off the city and, again, there's just a couple of things that we have to nail down before we can really bring it to council, because we have to make sure that we're initiating it correctly. We want to make sure that the city doesn't have to do the accounting, so there's a lot of little pieces that go into it, and they still got to get it passed. They got to come up with their refund process, their deferral process, and all those things. So I'm assuming hopefully January, we'll have something for council.
Well, and because we are a piece of that, who are you accountable to? Once the funds are distributed to you, who are you accountable to?
I'm
That it's-
assuming, the state heavily regulates this because it's all tax, right? It's all collected
Mhm.
funds that are going back to our improvements. So there's very detailed accounting that we have to provide for anything we spend out of that fund. It has to be attributed specifically to growth. Only a certain percentage of it. There has to be a match percentage that we have to use of our existing funds. It can't be, there's a lot of restrictions on, can't be used for salaries versus capital investments. Yeah, there's quite a bit associated with it that we're held accountable to from the assessor's office.
Rachel, it would be nice, since you're working through the process, that, I don't know if it's annually, it's probably annually, that comes back around to us, so that council can see, what has gone on, how much was taken.
Yeah, and I have to report to council also. There's part of the city reporting that I'd have to report to you, like this is what is going on. But as far as what they're spending it on, it has to be spent within a certain amount of time. The interest has to be spent in a certain area. The city doesn't want to have to get involved like that. They don't want us
But we
involved
also
like
want to
that.
make sure that the money that we're collecting is not becoming,
Right,
I
so
think that's what Jamie was.
yeah, so they'll submit reports to us and let us know,
Right.
the bigger picture. And we're gonna try to come up with a fee that's fair. We don't want to charge them a 15% fee. That's just outrageous.
But you
So I know
do-
they're trying to take as much admin work off of us as they can, so that way we're, able to work together and achieve, the impact
Yeah.
fees.
The big thing is transparency.
Great.
So in keeping with that kind of an ILA, is that something that we might, since we have to have these done before our growth management plan is complete? Aren't those similar ordinances something we should be talking about with regards to parks, traffic, et cetera? I would suspect that the council at one point in time would have a series of these ordinances that take care of the various departments that we want to have impact fees imposed on, and parks being number one. But, once the Cowlitz Meadows subdivision is done, there'll be traffic mitigation fees as well because of the larger subdivision on the, right next to it. And I don't know, if I sat down, I could think of probably about 2 or 3 more that we might want to include that other cities do include. But they're gonna, before we get that growth management complete, we're gonna need to have those ordinances in place. So as the fire district did, having those ordinances in place without a number to them, at least takes care of the one process. And we're not trying to catch up at the last minute to make sure we have it done.
But we own parks and streets, so we don't need an ordinance. So right now, because the fire district, we're not financially related at all, we had to create the ordinance just to say, hey, we're gonna, they're allowing us to collect funds for them, we're going to collect funds for them. I think Mary's working on part of the comp plan with Todd, and that's gonna be where our park impact fees come through. But we won't need an ordinance for that. That's just gonna go into the comp plan and it's just gonna be part of our.
So the school district is another one.
The school district is another one, and I've reached out to them, and I don't know what they're doing. I've tried to get them on board with us so that way we can do this all at once, because it's a huge learning curve. I know we've all been doing lots of research and had, been on the phone and spent hours on this. I tried to get them to get on board so I could just do one ordinance for the school, one ordinance for the fire district, and then we could create a similar ILA. They just told me they don't know what's going on with the impact fees. So I sent them another email today, letting them know that we were meeting on Wednesday. So we'll have, because I know Todd said you've got a lot of knowledge on impact fees as well. So I invited them to come to the meeting. I don't know that they will, but right now, I think, it's written in SEPA, and that's, that's kind of what I guess they're doing. I don't know if they're doing anything.
Well, they have to comply with CEPA regulations.
Correct.
And that's how they actually intend to try to collect it outside the county or outside of city limits. And that's how you could approach it, but I think the city ordinance is a much cleaner way to do it.
Right, but we have to get them on board. And the problem is I've reached out to them and they've just told me they don't know anything about impact fees. They're both new. So yeah, I told them when they were ready to get on board, they could let me know. And depending on what we have on the agenda, we'd have to squeeze them in and we'd have a base of how to move forward. So, but it would be nice to do it all at once, but I don't think that's gonna happen, so. But they would need an ordinance too, yeah.
Yeah, so somewhere down the future, we're gonna have to send them a
You belong in city limits now?
should get off the pot letter, or you're gonna be left out.
Make sure we get that in minutes.
Well, last-
Your name, sir, fun?
Last time they just said they would do a bond, and I complained about that. It says like, so you're hitting all of the existing residents to pay again
For future.
for the future. It's like, rather than charge the people on the way in, so. I don't know if that's still where the thinking is, but it's crazy.
Do we have any further discussion on ordinance 12? All right, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we're going to move on to resolution 302A. So a resolution authorizing certain individuals to act as signatories for the bank accounts for the city of Toledo, superseding resolution number 275A.
I would make a motion that we pass 302A.
I'll second that.
And moved by Eric and seconded by Tony. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yep.
As I said previously, the person who writes the checks and distributes the checks and reconciles the checks should not be a signatory on the account. We need 3 signatories for backup in case maybe you want to leave town and take a vacation, or you get hit by a truck, or
More likely.
so we need a backup signatory. How this sits now, there is no backup signatory.
And I thought that the reason we had discussed doing it the way that we had it was because Rachel only signs in the event of
It needs to be done now.
one of the others, one of the others not being around. She is never a first signer.
And the auditors are fine with that. We've already checked with them. They've reviewed it.
I know, but you've essentially removed a backup signatory.
Then leave Eric on there
With this.
and he can be the backup person.
Or pick someone else.
It sounds like he wants to not be the backup person.
I don't mind. It doesn't. Are you saying that, well, somebody else would need to make that motion?
I'll make a motion. That we add Eric Hayes as a backup signatory to resolution 302A.
I think we just need to not pass 302A and just.
Oh,
leave it as
Well, you
it
need
is.
to add
Leave it as
Jamie.
is.
She already is.
Oh, you already did?
Yeah.
Oh, this was only just a movie, okay.
Yeah.
I withdraw that motion.
Yeah,
Is that
I've been
not
a
right?
signatory since you've been. a
Yeah, that's what I
signatory.
thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I said we go ahead and table 302A
Actually,
indefinitely.
I think at this point, oh, can we do that? Or do we have to just vote it down? One of the two.
I think you
It's up
can.
to you.
let's call.
Yeah, we have
for
a
vote.
motion.
I'll
so
just
we
call for a
have to vote, yeah.
And we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? All those opposed?
I'm
No.
scratching 302A.
Yes.
Yes,
Scratch 302A.
scratch. Yes.
Scratch the other.
All right. So we will go ahead and move forward to the ILA for the tech services. I think everybody should have had a chance to read over that, correct?
Mhm.
I'd entertain a motion.
Oh, where are we?
Item D.
Yeah,
Is this,
that's it.
is this related to the ILA or not?
Yes.
Okay.
For IT services.
For IT services.
So rescind.
Yes, that's it.
RESCIND.
No, I had some issues.
This is the next item.
Okay,
That's the police services.
Are you in need of a motion?
Yes, I am, please.
I make a motion that we accept the IT services as offered by Lewis County.
I'll second that.
It has been moved by Eric and seconded by Kathy. We are open for discussion.
I question why the base rate is so high and then $12 per computer. I would like to see them redistribute the cost of this.
You're talking about the ILA,
Yeah,
the tech service?
because, yeah, I mean, it's not a massive number, but if they're only charging $12 a head after they get the $260.
So that $206 has to do with the security stuff because it's my access to Spillman.
I understand that, but if they've got, like 500 people connected to it and they're all paying the 260 plus 12, that's not dividing up the fee very well. If we're just a single user and you're telling me that the base fee is 20x our, get where I'm going with that.
And did we
Just seems
find
like
out
baloney.
if this is something, I know you were gonna speak with Wenlock to see if you needed to.
So I technically don't need Spillman access. Valentine doesn't need me to have it, but I'm
Oh,
still
that's-
trying
okay.
to figure out accounting. Wenlock doesn't keep records of this person got a ticket. This is how much they've paid into the ticket. This is how much we've paid out. They don't keep those records. I've talked to a couple different cities. There's bank reconciliation, or not bank, court remittance that come back that show $300 has been paid on a DUI, but it doesn't say by case.
Mhm.
So I have access to JABS, which is like the court database, and then having access to Spillman allows me to kind of create a profit and loss on our tickets. Not that we make profit on tickets, but at least it's giving us a clearer understanding of how much we're spending in prosecution, just that kind of stuff. So if you guys don't want,
Scratch that, I didn't realize that
Yeah.
that's what I was talking
Yeah.
about, so.
yeah, and it's the
I think it's a
infrastructure,
smart
so
idea for you to-
it has to do, it's the security and just the, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they have to have,
It's
their
the I didn't
licenses.
understand that was the VPN was what you needed for Spillman.
Yeah, yeah,
in my head, so I think it's a smart thing for you to be able to keep tabs on it.
at least for another year, or two,
Yeah,
so we
while
can
we're-
get a good idea of what we're looking at.
Because I thought when we had discussed it last time, like prior meeting or prior workshop, you had said maybe just needing it through this year to
Yeah.
get it situated and then move forward from there. So I mean, if it's, you know, just one more year of it.
Well, and in addition, can't they up their reporting?
They don't get it either. I've already talked to Valentine, I've talked to the PD clerk. I've talked to Madison over there, I've talked to a lot of different people that are all involved in the ticketing process, and the courts just send a chunk of money and let you know what fund it goes into. And that's where my access to JABS comes in, because I can actually pull up the case and, you know, they've got logs of this ticket was paid $60 and then it was a deferral. So I can go in that way, but I need to have access. I'm not gonna bug Winlock every month, like, hey, can I get all, you know, a list of all this? So having access to go in and pull the information that I need. Because there's a different area to see if someone's in jail, I've got to go to a different report. If there's med services or anything like that, I need access to JABS, which is free, and then Spillman, which will give me,
So what you're saying is the court accounting system is a mess.
yeah.
And do we need to know, so you're saying that like Winlock doesn't do that, so how does Winlock break theirs down, or do they not?
They
just-
don't, they just,
So is that something that we want to, do
we
we
should
want the
see,
breakdown?
since we're just now starting to write tickets in this system, we should definitely have a clear
For a year.
overview.
We're writing a lot of
Especially
checks.
for budgeting,
Yeah,
yeah, and the prosecution and all that stuff, we should have at least, I would say 2 or 3 years of, you know,
and it's. a
at least
tool-
1 year.
It's a tool for us to know whether or not you need to go, talk to the judges, say, hey, you're kind of being really nice to everybody.
Yeah,
And all these people that are,
And deferrals and stuff.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And this would get us through 25, which would give us basically like a year and a half worth, so if we went through 26, that would give you 2.5 years worth of data. That's kind of what I'm understanding.
This is for 25.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying if we went through 25, that'd get us to 26, 26 would get us through the end of 27, that'd give you 2.5 years. worth of-
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any-
Well, it's not like it's $1 million.
No. All right, do we have any further discussion? And we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So we will move in next to the ILA for the Winlock Police Services. They would entertain a motion.
I would make a motion that we accept the interlocal for police services with Winlock.
Can you get a second?
I'll second that.
All right, and moved by Eric and seconded by Kathy. It's open for discussion.
Before you get into it, I'd like to thank you very much for all the work that you've done on this, because I know that you just grabbed a hold of this and have been making it happen. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I have a question, in this ILA. What are they referring to when they say Toledo Municipal Court?
Winlock Court.
That's our Winlock court.
Yeah,
We had to declare that we have a court.
Okay,
And
so ours is Winlock. Okay,
Yes,
we hold it in Winlock, but it's
It's
our
Toledo.
court.
thank you. And is the motorcycle still on our property list?
It is.
yes.
Okay.
You're working to get it off of our property.
Yeah.
after reading this, do they already know they don't want it, or do we now need to hold this until they've made their final decision?
I don't think they want it, but we'll give it to them as inventory. We've already passed the resolution to surplus it, so technically it's in
Already been
surplus.
surplus.
If they really want it, they can.
And I talked to Valentine and he had zero interest in it.
I just want to make sure.
And I did reach out to them about this 5-day inventory, because I was like, oh geez.
Yeah,
And he said that he gave me a list of what he's looking for. So that was a little terrifying, but I was gonna have to start it.
I had a note about that, yeah.
Yeah, but I was working on what he needs.
Yeah,
So I'll have that before the end of the week for him.
and then I know in reading over that, and I think you and I had talked as well about getting something on the cars once the second car is badged that just says law enforcement services provided by City of Winlock, just in little print so that it.
Yeah, if you want to get me a image of what we want, I know who the Lewis County sheriffs use.
Perfect.
I'm dropping the
One car.
the dark blue car off this weekend
Mhm.
to have the new radio and the radar installed, so I can literally take it from there to this county and have them sticker it.
Okay, I will get that over to you tonight.
Okay, so, I'm gonna be the negative person. It's starting to sound like Napa Vine contract. It's a significant fee that doesn't cover everything. And then they want their pick of what our assets are also. I'd like to see them determine what they want and have it in this contract.
They want the cars and the tough books that go in the cars and the printers. I think that's what they're taking.
Yeah, they were not.
And it all comes back to us. It's our stuff. They're gonna pay to maintain them. I just got all the cars, oil changes, you know, any maintenance that needed to be done is done. They're gonna be handed over to them in, you know, great condition. They're gonna take care of them. You know, they're maintaining the assets for us, which we have to do anyways. And they come right back if
Yeah,
anything were to happen.
and also we will have a copy of the inventory with all serial numbers and everything that is given to them.
And their fee is still way less than what we'd pay to have the police department here, yeah.
Or the county down here. For minimal coverage.
Yeah, I would say this is nothing like the Napa Vine one, but
No.
I appreciate what you're saying there. It's just that, Napa Vine was just like, give us everything.
And they're-
I-
Not blowing us
Pretty
everything.
much, that's what I'm reading here.
But they're not
Give
taking
us
all of our stuff and we will get it back in the event that we separate. From what I understood from the Napa Vine contract, that was not the case.
No, it was
Napa
just-
Vine was taking it and it
Yeah.
was theirs going forward. Winlock's like, no, if we sever, if we split ways, you get all your stuff back.
And when it's end of life, we get it back.
Yep,
Okay, if it's not in the contract,
that is it.
then I want to see a document that says what they're taking.
Yeah, and we will have that with the inventory list and they want it with serial numbers and everything. So VIN numbers, all of that, so that there will be zero question. We'll be able to, you know, if we say, hey, we're taking our police department back and they're like, here's all your stuff. We check it off and we're like, where's this?
Okay, because right now it looks like we've just decided we're not ever gonna have a police department again.
It says in there, it comes right back to us. If they came in and honestly used everything in our police department, I mean, we're not using it. We've got brand new evidence lockers in there that never even made it in the evidence room because they don't fit.
Okay. and
So I
the
mean,
other
we've
thing
got a
is-
lot of stuff that should be utilized and it should be utilized by Winlock.
Napa Vine wanted our computers.
Yeah, they don't want any of
that.
that. And they're gonna give it all back. They'll maintain it.
Well, and one of your sales pitches was that we don't have to pay insurance or anything else.
We don't.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We're paying property insurance. That is not gonna be insurance for our officers. So this insurance covers property damage, which is almost nothing. It's the LNI hours that we get hit with through the RMSA. So we're gonna be looking at like $25,000 a year less.
I was looking at.
And that's slow to take her
General
off.
liability.
Or that's not the RMC.
It wants
property.
liability, it wants labor and industries.
And this
Look at that.
thing does indicate too that they're covering the insurance and stuff in the
I
cars.
thought it said they were doing labor,
insurance.
LNI.
Yeah, we wouldn't
Yeah,
pay
we wouldn't do it.
because we don't
Yeah.
have any officers that
Right.
were
Yep.
employed here.
Yeah, this is that they're responsible for that.
Did you guys read the contract?
I did.
It's in-
I did.
It's in there.
It's on page 9. Is that what you're talking about? Top of page
And
9?
top of 9.
Yep.
All those LNI hours, so our insurance is gonna be like $26,000 cheaper from 26.
Are they requiring us to have L&I insurance when we don't have any employees? Because they are a separate entity and we do not employ them.
And it's industrial insurance, and I'm not sure exactly what industrial insurance is. And I was under the impression too that they were covering the property damage on the vehicle, so we can ask them about that.
Mhm.
Industrial insurance is if you get hurt on the job. So
Right, but they're
that's-
not our employees, so it wouldn't matter.
That's what I'm saying. Why is it in the
Okay.
contract?
I'm sure it's
We
just-
don't have any employees.
Yeah, we can inquire on that, but if it doesn't, affect us, I wouldn't. I mean, we still have to carry that insurance for our other employees anyways, so. I will ask them about the auto insurance too, because I was under the impression that they
Yeah,
were covering the
that-
auto insurance.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the media releases. That to me is a red flag waiting to happen. If we, for instance, have a dispute over the contract because they have failed to perform. Have we lost our First Amendment rights?
I think it has to do with cases. That's what the media releases. They don't want us giving releases on any kind of
Cases they're
cases
working.
that are working on.
Okay,
To answer your one question, Jamie. I don't anticipate the city being able to bid budget for a new police department. For at least 3 to 5 years and probably closer to 5.
And the residents are very happy. I've gotten a lot of very positive feedback.
Yeah. Everybody seems to be happy with Landlocked.
okay, and here's another one, 514. Upon failure of either city to cure a material breach of this agreement. After 30 days written notice, provided Toledo shall remain liable for payment to Winlock for the remainder of the then current term. So if they breach the contract, we have to pay through the rest of the year.
Yeah. And if same thing for us though, if we're gonna back out of the contract, they want to know that their officers are gonna be covered, and there's that, I think it's 120 days, right? That they would still be
Yeah.
on staff, yeah. So it allows us a transition period. We're not like, hey, we're done, and then there's 3 days left. It's 120 days that we all get to
Yeah.
transition, and that goes both ways.
That's not what this says. 514 says for the remainder of the current term.
Yeah. that
It
one
says
should
nothing
be-
about transition.
Cause some of the terms.
The
could be up to
transitions up
years.
here.
The transitions down
Oh,
here.
down here.
This is. Cause I had read, there's a section in here where it talks about paying 3 months worth,
Mm-hmm.
That's 5-2.
about 5.2.
Is the transition plan, yeah,
Yeah.
that I don't have a problem with, but. If we're in month 2 of a new contract. And they breach it. To the point where we're saying we're out of here. We should not have to pay through that entire year.
I think this just needs to be reworded so that it's.
Yeah.
Whichever city breaches is the one that would have to.
Of either city.
Because our only breach basically is going to be, well, our main breach would be failure to pay.
Yeah.
Maybe that needs to include the transitionary period term.
Instead of for the
Instead
remainder
of
of the then
the
current
current
term.
Yeah.
That transitioned.
You can always shoot me an email too, since you get these early. If you shoot me an email with these questions, I can try to have some of this stuff taken care of before it gets to council. That's why we came to you early, because we know you catch that kind of stuff.
It's not likely that I would be able to shoot you an email on thing.
All right, do we have any further discussion?
Rachel Beaver,
So. Feels like some of the,
Blame it on Carly.
so are these showstoppers? It feels like we have showstoppers. Oh, do we? have to
I
do
mean,
that during
you
this
guys
thing?
can still vote on it, and
what is the attachment A?
That is a very. good
Oh,
question.
yeah,
I
it's
saw
got
that
to get
too.
the
I was
attachment
like-
A from them.
Yeah, I was like, what is attachment A? Cause
Did
I
we
was
email them on
handed,
that?
It's blank.
yeah, cause I was handed this directly from them after
Did,
they signed it the other day.
did you email them for it?
Was it
Yeah,
attachment
they were
A
supposed
for the
to
list
send
of
it to you the
equipment?
next day. Jill was, she said, I'm gonna email it
Oh,
over.
yeah. Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll table it until.
It would, yeah.
So we'd like to
Table it.
know what that is.
Table
Yeah.
it To next meeting.
And I still think you need to address the insurance
Yeah.
and stuff,
We'll send,
because that was
send
one of
over
our
a,
beefs before.
We got all that.
yeah, we'll send over an email to Unlock. Okay, so we'll go ahead and table this, our, this first December meeting. Okay, so we will move on to the solar grant contract.
So I'm wondering if, as soon as you get a turn on the document, that you should get it out to council,
Yeah.
and then you can decide if it's gonna need another turn, we might need a meeting, a special meeting, because we're running out of the year.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna call Brandon tomorrow and I'm sure he'll be able to get that reworded. I don't think he'd have any problem with that. And then as far as, he'll have an explanation on the insurance. Because with my understanding, we were gonna have to do property damage just because that's the way the insurance companies write their policies, but again, the auto insurance isn't much. It's those L&I hours that kill us. So yeah, I'll do a special meeting if needed.
Well, yeah, because the equipment is remaining registered
Correct.
to us, right?
Correct.
So yeah, we should definitely have liability on it.
Well, I spoke to the insurance company and they said that even if we own the equipment, they could write the policy that they paid for the auto insurance, and if we had an ILA that just backed it up, we'd be fine. But we had to do property damage. We still had to hold property damage. That's an insurance question. I don't know much about that.
Almost part of it. All right, so I would entertain a motion on the solar grant.
Okay, I motion we accept this.
Where is the site that this is going to be placed?
These would be on the Head Start building as well as down at the wastewater treatment plant.
This contract is just for plan.
Yeah, it's just for the planning,
Yeah.
we're not doing it yet.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
So we could use a
scope of
second
work, it
so that
really
we can
does.
discuss it.
It doesn't identify.
Can we get a second on?
I
the
second
motion?
that.
I'll second the motion.
You got a second over here.
Yeah, so do we have, it's definitely quite the extensive read.
This is, I'm just gonna say this is 100% graft. $77,000. I mean, they're not inventing solar.
You know, 75.
No, it came out to 77, and
They kept it
the
2,000.
solar install you could do with $77,000 is huge.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's as though they're inventing solar. It is complete graft.
And in sitting through all of that stuff, I think for the install and all of the equipment and stuff for the wastewater treatment, I think it's like 2 million. 1.5.
That's
something like that.
insane.
Recoup costs and energy for 190,000 years.
Several years, yeah. And they wanted to
This
put it
is
here, but they wanted
complete
us
graft.
to replace the roof. And I was like, I'm not replacing the roof
Yeah,
here.
there's no.
Yeah.
Well,
this is
and that's
for
the
planning
thing, is
purpose.
the planning for something here when we don't know
We're
what,
not, it's this building, we
Yeah.
aren't.
and that building hasn't even been inspected, so planning for something there may not be feasible either.
It makes sense for our services, so it would make sense to have a backup for the well pumps. It would make sense to have some form of emergency backup for the plant so that it doesn't go into some crazy mode because it's out of power and it's out of diesel.
Mhm.
But definitely, yeah. It's pretty obvious and honestly. This boiled my blood.
Yeah, and again, and there's, Joe had the grant for them to do all the planning, not the install. So it's just for the planning portion of it, but it's up to us if we go forward with the install.
That's.
And
for
that's
this-
I thought they were
That's
doing the install too.
From when I spoke with Joe, it was, we're starting with the planning portion. And then you can move forward, but like when I spoke to them about, there's no way we're using this building, they're like, oh, that's okay, you don't have to.
And they're gonna give us a grant for the install also.
I think
Apply for
that
the
this is
grant
to
for the install.
qualify for the
Yeah.
grants for the install, which this is complete.
Oh,
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah,
The problem we have is that this has already been signed and apparently some of the work has already been done.
We've already been billed.
and then they're reimbursed, or they filled out all the reimbursement paperwork.
They said they were going to. I haven't seen it pop up in our Department of Commerce or heard back from them, but they haven't rebilled us, so. I told them we're not paying $77,000 for a reimbursement. They're gonna have to.
Cause I know Joe spoke to
Figure it
the
out.
lady direct, and she said, no, I will take care of all of the paperwork and do all of that.
She said that we could pay in increments. That's what she told Joe. And then we got an email from somebody and they said that we could fill out this form. That would basically allow them to submit for us, but I haven't heard back from them. But yeah, the lady that Joe spoke to said that they were gonna allow us to pay in increments, cause I was like, no, we're not writing the $77,000
No.
check.
So, so the project schedule, the last three phases, the regulatory analysis, the interactive design meeting and the final report compilation and presentation, all those are scheduled for November.
And they sent over I think their final. The final like write-up. I know there was a Zoom meeting we did as well. I think you were on that
Actionable
one, too.
recommendations in November for the city of Toledo will proceed. Okay. But that only is if passing a motion to.
Yeah, and
The way it was presented to us was that we wouldn't have to come out of pocket at all, so there was some misunderstandings. So when the bill came out, we reached out and we're like, hey, what's going on? And that's when we were told it was a reimbursement grant. So, and then.
and
yeah.
Joe had gone.
And this, I know, and this should have come to council before. I'm not sure how it got missed, but it should have before we even move forward, because we've got the ordinance or resolution that allows Joe to go for grants to apply for them. But before we sign on to any grants, they need to be brought to you guys. I feel like this is something that we all would have been like.
Yeah.
And I ask anytime that stuff comes up, I'm like, this is nothing out of pocket for the city. That's my, like, just like with the Wiggle or the LTAC grant we were just discussing earlier, I'm like. That is not out of pocket unless, because there were some issues back and forth on that one too, and I'm like. At what point do we just say, hey, the grants that we apply for are only grants that the city specifically says, hey, we want you to go do this? So that we have a chance to look at it before anybody else jumps on it. I know we had given her the go ahead to start finding grants and.
But we don't mind, I mean, we don't mind that. It's the signature that allowed them to start billing us that was the problem. Right, I mean, I don't mind if she goes and finds us 50 grants as long as it doesn't consume all of the office's time.
But when you're
But
told.
when this gets going, that was where the problem happened.
So there's a seconded motion on the table, is that correct? For this.
It was moved and seconded.
And
I thought
also,
so.
who chose this contractor?
They
Yeah.
did.
The grant.
It's one of the
people
approved contractors for the grant.
Yep.
It's Kraft.
Yeah.
Harley, what was the motion?
Jamie motioned to approve it, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Bonnie seconded.
It's signed.
And then we discussed.
Yeah, if we don't approve it, we're stuck with a bill.
And the only reason it was signed is because I was told there is absolutely zero out of cost for the city. None.
So in the future, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, and additionally, when we're discussing stuff like this, I'd like to see Joe here.
Yeah, I thought she was gonna be here tonight, but I'm like, I don't know why she was not.
And I think.
But
we
that's,
need
that's
to-
not, again, it's not Joe's fault. Again,
Yeah.
it's the contract should have made it in front of council. She doesn't know that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? She didn't know it needed to get in front of council and she was given the go ahead to go look for grants. It's really not Joe's fault. I mean,
Well, I would like to revise that we passed also because,
Was it signed by Joe?
no,
no,
Who signed it?
Sure.
I had to sign it.
yeah.
And Joe's like, yeah, she's like, you have to sign this today in order for us to get all of the stuff finished and get it sent over. And I'm like, okay, again, are we out of pocket anything? She's like, no, this isn't a reimbursement grant, but she has so many grants going for so many different groups.
But that dollar amount falls outside of your authority of signature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even as a non-reimbursable.
Well, even I
grant.
think it wouldn't matter if it was $5,000, we were given, the ordinance covers Joe getting the grants before the city can proceed with the grant. It needs to come here. Yeah, that's,
well, and I'd like us to revise it because if she had too many things going to be able to present this whole thing. I have no problem going and looking at all the information and knowing whether or not we're getting value for the dollar.
I think she did come present the solar grant. We can look up the minutes, but she did come present the solar grant. She came and gave a full presentation on it, yeah. And then she had several people from the community come down and were actually involved in it. She's done a lot of work on this. It's not on Joe.
I'm not saying that, but like I said, we get this paperwork
Mhm.
and we're going, whoa, what the heck?
Yeah, she did a full presentation on it though. We can pull it. It was a while ago.
Yeah, I think
But
it was like
we
3
should have
months
gotten this
back.
paperwork
You should have gotten this
Yeah.
paperwork before it got
in
signed.
September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And especially like after the 50, like somebody said, after 50,000, I think it's.
Yeah.
We'll
Where's
never
it
bump it.
stand now?
They're supposed to submit it for us. They're supposed to submit for reimbursement for us, this Cascade people. Through the Department of Commerce. So they just did all this work, or, they came out for their meeting. They were here for 6 or 8 hours. They put together this feasibility study and sent us a bill for $77,000. And I was like, no, thank you. No, thank you. So yeah, that's where things kind of.
All right, I think Alex, that we need to call tomorrow, I can call her tomorrow.
So is Commerce waiting on something for us? Sorry.
No, Commerce isn't waiting. It's Cascade that is supposed to be submitting for us. So
Yeah.
they've got what they need. I don't know if they've done it, what they need to do, but I know we haven't gotten another bill and I haven't heard back on, I'm not paying this.
So
Yeah.
Cascade is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean
No, you're
to.
good.
So Cascade doesn't need anything from us.
At this moment, no. I haven't heard back that they were able to submit and get the money from the Department of Commerce yet, though. But again, it sucks too, because and I don't know all of that, how that affects us, but it shows that we've received $77,000 in a grant. That's a lot of money. I don't know if, we've got a base, that's all for the auditors and for them just to come down and say, euros.
Yeah.
I know.
So Jamie, to answer your question on the resolution that is currently in play, any agreements, contracts, or obligations arising from the successful grant awards shall be presented to the city council for consideration and approval before execution.
Correct.
So it is in this resolution.
Yeah. Yeah, that, I knew it was, yeah, because it.
When was, what?
Which again, I still think it's fine. That allows her to go.
Look,
100%. I think that's fine too, because she was coming in trying to, at every meeting and saying, it's last minute. I've got to, apply by the Friday.
The oversight is that Sherry signed.
Right.
You guys considered.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to be fully informed before we go.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah, and I will not listen to anybody that says, oh, this is a reimbursement, I'm like, no. Just like with this LTAC thing she's working on, and I'm like. Is this really good, is this really what it is?
So does the motion die?
Well,
I don't think we better let it die
Right.
unless
No.
we wanna pick up a $77,000 bill.
Right, so we need
Yeah,
to vote.
is there any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed.
Oppose.
You're not passing this?
I can't vote yes on obvious crap. Sorry, I can't.
Well,
Government does it
then
at the
we're
high
gonna be
level.
presented with a $77,000 bill.
It doesn't sound like they're waiting on something from us. They already got a signature. They said they don't need money from us. They're.
I told them, so what they did was they sent me a form that would allow them to submit for the reimbursement for us. I filled it out and sent it back to them, so that way it wouldn't funnel through us. It's still gonna show through the Department of Commerce that we took out a $77,000 grant. So it's still through us. I don't know that it was like 2 weeks ago. I haven't heard back from them. I can check tomorrow just to make sure they were able to submit everything. I'm sure I would have heard from them if they weren't able to submit. And I can actually probably log on to,
I'm going through it now, but I'm pretty sure it was more than 2 weeks ago when she asked to meet with us. Regarding this one.
Well, based on this paperwork, if we're not liable, then I believe, Sherry, you're liable for $77,000.
All right, and then we do have one more left, which is the park board recommendation for Kemp Olson woodshed repair.
So this is under $500. I'm not sure whether it's in front of us. And then my second question is, does the city need to buy a new camera? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm sure we
It's
have.
fine. I
to
think
do that.
maybe he's building the park to the box or something, which is fine.
so I'm just gonna use walk in the park money for this. Is that,
They have budget, right?
they're out for repairs and maintenance? I'm pretty sure they're
So is
out.
that what this ask is?
Yeah,
to
they're out
increase
of
the
budget.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we approve this $451 expense.
I'll second it.
I'm using walk in the park donation.
Great.
All right, then moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Do they need help or what?
Motion carries. And then we do have the other business, the employee cash outs. Right, speak more to that, I know you can already. touched
Yep,
on it.
so that was again, the auditors are looking at payroll again this year because we had issues with our last audit. And one thing that they did notice is that the city is letting people go over their allotted amount of PTO, so whether it be vacation time or it's actually only vacation time that they look at. And it's a liability, so I know we had an employee leave the beginning of 24 that had well over the amount that was supposed to be allotted, and in our personnel policy, it says you have to cash that out. And then we've had the discussion of exempt versus non-exempt employees, so we're gonna be changing that up a little bit in our personnel policy, so. I've got comp time I have to cash out in order to be an exempt employee, and then John has to cash out 160 hours of vacation. To get him under his allotted amount, and I've also told him he needs to start taking vacation, he needs to take, I think, 3 to 5 days. Before the year's over, just to keep him under that amount.
So 160 hours of vacation gets to get him down to,
He's at 260 right now, I think it's.
so when employees don't take vacation, that affects, I mean, it's not just a gift, it's to keep them happy and motivated.
Right, and we've got Jay now, so
Fresh.
he's tried to start taking it, I think he's been taking a little bit more, but. I did tell him it was mandatory that he had to take 3 to 5 days of vacation before the end of December, like it had to happen, or. Cause the way it's written is, it either gets cashed out or lost, or you use it, so I will be. Again, bringing a new personnel policy chunk by chunk to you guys over the next couple meetings. And those things can be discussed there, but coming into the end of the year. I can guarantee they're gonna be looking at payroll again at our next audit, so we have to get this stuff taken care of.
And so what's the cost? What's that 160 cost?
At his rate right now, it's like $3,000, I think,
Okay, and then you have comp time,
160 hours,
you have,
150 hours.
150, and what's that cost?
It's probably like $4,500, $5,000, something like that.
And that's it?
Yeah, and so, and then I would just put that into the budget amendment that I'm working on right now. And then just moving forward, I wouldn't gain any comp time, I would just have vacation time. And then for John, I think after January of 25, we'll move him to an exempt employee also. And he doesn't have a lot of comp time, so I'm not worried about that.
A cap on the vacation.
So there is a cap on the vacation, that's why we're cashing it out, and before last year, we did talk about this, but the problem was. It was just John, so we couldn't say, hey, you're gonna lose your vacation. Cause he wasn't able to really take it, same thing with me, I wasn't able to take a lot of vacation until I got, Carly where she's at now. So there is a cap, again, I will bring that part of the personnel policy to you guys can go over it, reword it, do what you gotta do, but. We also get a lot of vacation time after being here for so long, I think he
Yeah.
gets like.
46 paid days a year.
It's a lot. Yeah. So,
That's not that bad.
It's almost a day a week.
right?
So, I mean, you're talking about the exempt versus non-exempt. He has the ability to be flexible with his schedule.
Yeah. No, he does not,
He
yeah.
could take half a Friday off every week.
I think it's been trying to
Figure it
take
out.
every Friday off, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's actively been using it now that we've kind of been like, you have to, or you're gonna lose it.
Yeah.
So I think basically come next year, we're gonna have to say, you
You lose it.
lose
Yeah.
it.
And
And it was written
actually
like
had
that
an
before I
opportunity.
got here, but then we kind of reworded it because of the situation, like. If John were to take a couple of weeks off to try to work down his time, we'd be screwed. Same thing with me, if I was just to be like,
That's
hey,
something
I'm
you
out
gotta
for
do
3
over
weeks.
time. That's something you gotta do over time.
Yeah.
And he had that opportunity this spring too.
Yes, yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
as long as there's special circumstance where it might be necessary, but with approval.
yep, and that's how we wrote it into this. This last policy that we went over, it needed
Yeah.
manager's approval, and so now.
He didn't have a lot of support the last couple of years. I mean, he really didn't. He was solo kind of.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we approve this, looks like $7,500.
Second.
Moved by Eric and seconded by Tawny. Any further discussion? All those in favor? We'll move into public input. If you have a nice new podium, if somebody would like to come try it out.
Please state your name.
Yeah.
Kyle Wheeler. I just wanted to say for the police contract, thank you for having a marking clause in there. I think that's really important. If we're not gonna have our own police department, it still gives us the level of community ownership in the process.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask Rachel, with your exit interview, can you send me your final report when you're done?
Absolutely.
And then usually they will give you a separate list of recommendations not included in your report. Can I take a gander at those two?
That is a public records request, please. She's being trained for public records, so you'll get it from the both of us. Yeah,
And
With the form filled out, correct?
county just finished their audit as well, and they had some discrepancies with employee payment stuff as well, so.
yeah, they've got a list, they said, there's a list of stuff for us to fix, but they said it's not. They said you can fix it and everything will be fine, or.
No, okay, we're past. going backwards for other business. We need to fix this. We've got to.
Jake Morgan, I got a couple announcements. Most of them are from the Toledo Lions Club. We bought a new container car and it's 40 feet long and they're gonna install it on Friday morning. This Friday, right out here behind City Hall, in that spot that we cleared out already, and it's gonna be a new one that's really nice and stuff. So we got it from the dry box place up in Navavine, so they're gonna deliver it. And it looks good. Second announcement, also on Friday evening, we're gonna have our annual turkey bingo. It's gonna be at the Toledo Elementary School starting at 6 p.m. We're gonna accept food donations, which will go to the Toledo Rivers Program. So come there and bid on a turkey. The third thing is also the Lions Club. We just acquired a wheelchair ramp at a nice aluminum. It's like 40 feet long in sections. And so we don't have a purpose for it just yet, but we keep an eye on. We want it to go to a good cause. If it's a public thing, schools or city, or somebody that needs a really nice aluminum wheelchair ramp, that we want to have that, or to a private person too. So we'll see about that. So, and then the last thing is it's for, I'm switching hats, not Lions Club. The Toledo Cemetery. I'm on the board of the Lewis County Cemetery District number 7. And I saw the thing about the water rates. We hardly use any water. We don't water the field or anything. It's just for filling up jugs to if people want to water flowers and stuff. So it's just out there for use. And I wanted to let you guys know we are planning on building a columbarium this next year. Budgeted for it and everything. It's gonna hold up to 96 niches for the urns that you can buy. So we're moving ahead. I don't think we need a building permit because it's technically on county land.
I missed it. I'm so sorry.
They're building.
A columbarium.
Yeah.
Where at?
On the cemetery at the Toledo Cemetery.
Let's see then.
It's on our property.
Within
So
city limits.
Yeah, I think it's still in city limits, even though it's owned by the county.
Yeah, that on the list.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or if they had columbariums to the,
Yeah. Where, do you know where it's gonna be placed on the property?
It's by the hill on the way out.
Okay.
On the exit thing, it'll be nice and visible and overlooking the area.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, and we're gonna put a concrete pad around it too, so you can get up there easily with the wheelchairs and stuff.
I think it's still a building permit, right? It's still, yeah. I'll double check, but I think it's still gonna be a building permit because I think it's still in city property. And then it affects the values and
Inside city
everything.
limits, yeah.
Yeah,
It's in city limits, but it's on the county. It's a cemetery district within the city.
yeah, I'll double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've been, this whole year, we've been planning it out, making sure we got everything perfect for it, so. Yeah, so let us know if there's any problems, we'll do it. That's it, thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. On the container that's out there,
It's not out there yet, but yes, it will be.
that's going out there.
Yes,
Since we don't know what we're doing here yet.
that's already been discussed with them. They do realize that they may have to move that.
Okay, so what I'm thinking is, in placing it,
Mhm.
are you putting it in a place where future planning?
Can happen around it, yeah. It's gonna, yeah, it'll be way back here at the back, like more towards the. Towards the
Water.
existing, no, not that far out, towards the existing mobile structure that belongs to the. furniture shop.
Reach out to me tomorrow, Jake.
Yeah, do we
I'll
have
look over you.
while we're on that, do we have like a hold harmless on that?
We can definitely get one for that, but, and again, I know it's not a gifting of funds since they do give back to the city.
Absolutely, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that if somebody breaks into it, that the Lions Club
Yeah,
doesn't,
we're-
you know how they are.
Yeah, we can put a camera.
Just so we're dotting our Ts and crossing our Is. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Steve Birch. I got two things I wanted to briefly discuss. Number one, there seems to be a pattern with our grants that we receive. In that, when it comes time for the actual work to be done, the buildings have grossly overvalued the work that was actually completed. And I don't know if that's a fault in the grant process, or if there's something going on that the state's not catching and granting these grants. You know, I, from personal experience, read the report that was done on this building, and it was not $50,000 worth of work, so that was the amount of the grant. In this case here, we have the planning and feasibility studies for very simple buildings, and that amount is grossly overvalued. And now we're in a situation where we could be pinning ourselves to something that we don't want to do. My one question is, if we allow them to file for reimbursement for the planning, are we stuck with having to continue with the rest of the grant?
Are you talking about the GMA one?
The
Oh,
solar,
This whole.
And no, I think that's to qualify us for the next grant. I think Commerce is using this to choose, because they've got $10 million to give out, or they're
And
gonna give
it does
$10
seem like
million
quite
in
the
planning.
conflict of interest to recommend the contractor.
Yeah.
And we didn't spend the full 50 on the city hall assessment. I've actually gonna have some more stuff done. I think we spent about
To 20 something.
20, maybe not even 20.
yeah, I'm just wondering if there's some way to circumvent the problems by putting out the actual work that we're getting a grant for to bid, rather than, I mean, our engineering firm is a good one, but they're not the only engineers available. And getting competitive bidding on any of the work that we do by grant would save not only us, but the state money, which is our priority. And that seems to be an issue so far. I agree that Joe has a lot on her plate. I mean, she is juggling 19 balls at once. And so I think she does need the help in somebody looking over her shoulder and reading the actual script in those grants, so that she doesn't make misrepresentations through no fault of her own, but just from either lack of the time or lack of the understanding of particular wording on something. So if I read correctly, tonight you submitted for reimbursement, or you allowed them to submit for reimbursement for the planning feasibility, and the council voted down continuing forward after that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, that made it clear to me.
Well, if they were to come out and say, you guys are approved, and anything going forward, as far as actually looking at having those placed, would be brought to council. So, and there's a procurement, so what I'm looking for, process for grants as well. So I think now that things have slowed down a little bit, we can start looking at other people. I know working with our contractors that we already have an ILA with allows us to kind of just use them, but I agree, we should be pricing things out better and trying to see what else is out there.
I think with the reelection of our current congressperson, who seems to be focused on locally funded grants, that we owe it to ourselves to participate in that, but do it with our heads held high.
And it does seem like any of the grants that I've seen come through, it's like, hey, you're approved for this amount. And they say, hey, we're gonna do for example, oh, we're approved for 50,000, we're gonna give you 25,000, but we're still gonna bill you 100% of the grant. And that part I don't quite understand, if it's like there's gotta be a way for them to be like, hey, we don't need to use all of this money. And the rest of that money can go back into the pool for somebody else, we can maybe.
It does. Yeah, it does.
But it seems like the ones that we've seen mainly have been, they see that
Well,
total amount and they.
We're
go
paying
for
a
it.
contractor, and then Washington Department of Commerce is paying us back, so it's just.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
And then, the contracts for the baseball field are on there, so I'll bring it to the next council. Cemetery's not up till 27, so you're good.
Jay Crow again, still Public Works Assistant. I just wanted to touch back on that thing with the whole John Vacation Town. Because I will have to dig more into it to get the actual details, but I believe that he is required by whether it's our ecology permit and or DOH permits to be within, X amount of distance from each in case of emergent situations like on call, which you guys know about. But the reason I bring that up is it might be a good time now more than ever to get some emergency and backup operators in place because I don't know for sure the details on it again, and I can look into those, but I'm sure there would be some sort of operator requirements to be in some distance. And while I can perform the daily procedures, there has to be a technical operator rated at the facility's rate to be on hand.
So we do have an ILA with Public Works in Lewis County. So if he did want to take a week vacation,
Oh,
if he
we
just
do?
gave me something in writing, I could reach out to Lewis County and
Okay.
I can make sure that they're available and on call.
Okay.
So that is set up. That's a good idea though. But yeah, we do have that ILA. I can make sure it covers the on-call services if you remind me tomorrow when you guys come up for that meeting. But
Okay.
yeah, he's just gotta get with us. He shouldn't be pinned to Toledo or Lewis County
Yeah.
for the rest of his life. You know,
I
it
that. I
sucks.
just wanted to bring that to the
Yeah.
table that they're made.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people didn't know
That
that.
is a good idea to have that prepped ahead of time.
And I'm pretty sure it's included because we just renewed it.
Meeting, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, a couple of meetings ago.
mhm.
All right, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Anybody else for public comment? All right, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
I'll third it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, all right, perfect. Meeting adjourned.
Do you have a problem with me calling Department of Commerce and talking to them about their contractor?